Welcome to the lesson 6. Today we are going to discuss pricing, plans, and default bias. In this lesson, we're going to talk about pricing, but not the way most people and teams do. We're not going to debate whether something should be $29.99 or $39.99. We're not going to talk about spreadsheets or revenue models, because pricing decisions on paywalls are rarely driven by math, they're driven by psychology. And if you understand the psychology, you can often increase revenue without changing the actual price at all. Let's start with a mindset shift. That's how we wish they behaved. In reality, most users, they just scan quickly, they avoid thinking, they just choose the path of least resistance. Their decision is emotional first, rational second, if at all. If your job isn't to offer fair options, your job is to guide a decision. Let's talk about monthly versus annual, because this is where most apps struggle. Monthly plans feel safe, they are lower commitment, they're easier to justify emotionally. Annual plans feel risky. They imply commitment, they trigger what if I stop using this anxiety. So why do annual plans often outperform monthly? Because annual pricing isn't about affordability, it's about framing. When annual plans work, it's usually because the value is clear and the outcome feels ongoing, and there is a very good price anchoring towards the annual plan that makes annual feel much more cheaper. The price difference between annual and monthly is so right that people feel more confident to go with the annual plan instead of buying for monthly, because monthly is going to cost them way expensive in the long run. Annual works best when users already believe the product is part of their routine, or will be, or the price is right. Now let's talk about the plan counts, because more options almost always hurt conversion. Teams think, let's offer monthly, quarterly, annual, lifetime, family, and the student plans, and you'll find a lot of apps like this. But users think, I don't want to think this harder. Every extra option adds cognitive load. Cognitive load is friction. Friction reduces conversion. In most cases, 2 plans outperform 3, and one plan often outperforms 2. If you do offer multiple plans, each one must serve a clear purpose. One should feel safe and then flexible, and pay-as-you-go plans, and the other should feel smart, committed, like annual plans. If plans feel equivalent, users freeze. This brings us to one of the most important, powerful forces in pricing: default bias. Default bias means users tend to choose what you pre-select or visually emphasize, not because it's better, but because it feels endorsed. When you mark a plan as best value or most popular, pre-selected by default, you are telling the user, this is what people like you choose. And humans are social creatures. We follow perceived norms. Here's the key insight. The default plan often outsells better priced alternatives simply because it's the default. This is why plan highlights matter more than discounts. Now let's talk about anchoring, because this is where pricing becomes strategic. Anchoring is the first price the user sees. It sets expectations. For example, if user says 99 first, 49 feels reasonable. If they see 49 first, 99 feels expensive. Anchoring don't have to be fake. They just have to be intentional. They're common anchorings that include crossed out prices, monthly versus annual comparisons, lifetime next to subscription, but anchoring only works when it feels credible. If user feels manipulated, trust drops, and trust loss is far more expensive than a missed conversion. Another subtle but important concept is price to value distance. This is the mental gap between what I get and what I pay. Your job is to shorten the distance. You do that by trying to price to outcomes, remind users what changed after the purchase, reinforcing immediate value. A price without context feels expensive. A price attached to a result feels justified. Now let's address a mistake that quietly kills revenue. Teams often try to fix pricing when the real issue is timing. they lower the price, they add discounts, they add more plans. But the problem isn't the price. It was that the user wasn't ready. The motivation is low. No price feels right if the motivation is low. If motivation is high, surprisingly high prices convert. Always diagnose why users hesitate before touching pricing. Let's bring this example. Let's bring this together. High-performing pricing structure usually does the following. It limits options, emphasizes one clear choice, frames commitment positively, reduces perceived risk, guide user rather than ask. They don't say choose whatever you want. They say this is what makes sense for you. And users appreciate that clarity more than endless flexibility. Here's how I want you to think about pricing going forward. Pricing is not a test of fairness. It's a test of confidence. If your pricing structure feels uncertain, users hesitate. If it feels intentional and calm, users follow. You don't need to find the perfect price. You need a price that matches user intent, the value, the perceived value, level of trust at that moment. Get the line right and the pricing becomes a growth lever, not a constant debate. It's very important you design your pricing in a way that users also feel in control of their decision. You can guide users, you can pre-select options for them and kind of nudge them toward decision, but users should feel like they have a decision. They can choose whatever they want to buy with a free trial or without a free trial, or what kind of payment plan they want. Your goal is kind of to present users all of the options that you have, nudge them towards saying like, oh, this is the best option for you, but also giving them a chance to choose whatever they want and be in control of their pricing decision. Making users feel like they are in full control of how they are going to spend their money results in a way, way higher conversion than just press them to take a free trial of the specific option or just buy the one subscription offer.